Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Against All Odds. I'm your host, Yris Palmer. Since this show is all about highlighting some of your favorite entrepreneurs and hearing their stories, how they overcame the odds, I thought it was only right to bring in the one and only Jason Arasheben. Did I say that right?
You said it right.
Okay. Also known as Jeweler to the Stars, also known as Jason of Beverly Hills. He has been in the diamond business, for over 2 decades. He has made some custom pieces for some of your favorite celebrities like Drake, Michael Jackson, NBA championship rings for the Los Angeles Lakers and Golden State Warriors, right? Golden State
Warriors, yeah.
And also made my engagement ring. So Jason, welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having me.
So excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And to hear your story.
Thank you.
I heard your story is very unconventional.
It was.
And we'll get into it. But first, I like to start every episode with your zodiac sign. So you are
I'm a Gemini.
Gemini. You know my son's a Gemini.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't hold it against me. Because when I was first dating my wife, she asked me that very question. Mm-hmm. She said, "What are you?" I said, "A Gemini." And she's like, "Oh, that means you're two-faced. That means you're an infidel. That means," I'm like, "Geez, I didn't know I had all these bad things associated with my astrology sign."
I call my son a Sour Patch because he's super sweet, but then he goes sour so fast, and it's like that double personality. But I like to start off the podcast with I feel like your zodiac sign, I'm really big on astrology, says a lot about who you are. Mm-hmm. So some of your traits I'm going to read to you. You tell me if they resonate with you or if they don't.
Okay, I'm ready.
And Gemini women and men are very different, but this is for Gemini men. Your strengths are you're charismatic, you're adaptable, creative thinker, socially intelligent, means like you read people really well. Your challenges are you're easily bored, you can seem emotionally detached, and you have 2 sides, which symbolizes the twin in the Gemini. Do you feel like that resonates?
Wow. Without exaggeration, that's literally exactly me.
Right?
I swear to God.
I feel like that's my son too.
That's
He's so charismatic.
Literally me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm a Taurus.
You're a Taurus?
So I love Geminis. Yeah, it's a good balance.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get straight into your story. So you were born in Iran, but you grew up in LA.
Yes.
So tell me, how old were you when you moved to LA?
So I was 5 years old when we left Iran because there was a revolution happening. The government had taken my family, the properties we had and stuff like that. When the new Islamic regime came in, they basically, a lot of the properties that we had, they kind of took it away, and it was very hard for because we're Jewish, it was very hard for us to live in Iran at that time. So we were able to escape. I was only 5, so I remember very little. But we were able to escape. My father left. We came here to the United States with no money, with nothing. And my father slowly, built a career and built himself up. And
what was he doing?
So he came, he was an architect. So he came here as an architect, but didn't really speak English. Originally, my father came to the United States at towards his sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
And he went to high school in the United States, went to college in the United States, met my mother, and then relocated back to Iran, where I was born. And they lived there for about 10 years before the revolution. And then we came back here to the United States. That's where my father decided he wanted to raise a family here in the United States.
So did you learn English through school, here?
I learned English? No, because my mother and father, neither one of them spoke English when they were together, which is neither ones were able to speak English, nor were they able to speak their own languages. My mother's from Norway, my father's from Iran. Neither one of them were able to speak, which they say was the reason for their long relationship is because they couldn't communicate with each other. So he always says, the reason we've been married for 50 something years, they're still married to this day, is because we couldn't even communicate with each other. So we couldn't fight because we didn't even know what each other were saying. So it's kind of interesting to build an entire relationship and not being able to speak the language. Eventually they both learned to speak English. So they communicate in English to this day. And so, we spoke English at home.
Okay. Well, Sounds like me. I can't speak proper. My first language was Spanish, and I learned English through school. But I always say to people like, I can't speak proper English and I don't speak proper Spanish. So like, if you understand me, you just understand me. But I don't have like a correct way of saying things most of the time. You know what I mean?
I grew up and my teachers in elementary school would be like, you have such a strong accent. Where are you from? I'm like, what are you talking about? No, I don't. But I would mimic the way my parents spoke.
Okay, so your dad wanted you to be a lawyer.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And wanted you to like stay in school and go that path. And you were just like, from young, I hear you were just like an entrepreneur.
Well, ever since I was a kid, I was always an entrepreneur. My father and mother were traditional conservative, parents where they were like, okay, the only way to be successful, you're either going to be a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer, and you got to pick one of those three.
Yeah.
And so, ever since I was young, I was always an entrepreneur, whether I was, passing out flyers to teach tennis to kids, and I was like 12 years old myself.
Yeah. Or
I was starting a business, or I always was an entrepreneur. I always enjoyed the chase. I enjoyed the journey of being an entrepreneur. I went to UCLA and I was studying to be an attorney because that's what my father wanted for me. So was my heart in it? No, but I knew that that's what I had to do. Well, when I was a sophomore in university at UCLA, I was $28,000 in debt. And I was in debt because I love to go out. I love to party. I love to spend money and enjoy the LA nightlife.
Out here in the
God. I was out in the streets like crazy. And, getting caught up in that Hollywood scene. And I realized I was $28,000 in debt. But I was never the type that would like work at Banana Republic. I just couldn't do that. I've never worked for anyone my entire life. So I noticed, there was obviously half the population on campus were women. And I remember going down with a friend to the wholesale district in downtown Los Angeles, and this girl I was with, she was buying like plastic hair clips and silver trinkets, and I'm like, why are we going down there? She's like, do you know how much cheaper it is down there?
Yeah.
We went down there and I saw they had Korean vendors that were selling it by the dozen. I was like, how about I just take this and I sell it on campus? Well, I had about $400 to my name, and I had $28,000 in debt, which I knew that the $400 wouldn't even cover the minimum payment due on my credit card. And I was like, I need to move fast. I need to figure something out. And I need to bring some money in the next 30 days so I can live. I didn't want to go to my parents. My parents, one, didn't have the money to be able to take care of me like that, and two, would have killed me if they knew I was $28,000 in debt. So I went to UCLA and I said, listen, I want to sell to girls on campus. I want to set up a 6-foot table. I'll sell to girls on campus. They said, no, absolutely. I said, they said, no, we're not going to let you do that. I said, well, I was very persistent. I do not take no for an answer. And when I want something.
That's that Gemini in you.
I do not take no for an answer. The more you tell me no, the more I want it.
Yeah.
And so I was persistent. I kept asking. They said no, but they would not be able to get rid of me. And I went in one day and I said, listen, I'm in the entrepreneurial program here as well. And you need to be able to harness and encourage my entrepreneur. And what better place than UCLA campus? Give me a week and I'll take 20% of all my proceeds and donate it back to the school. Give me a week and let me do this and let me try this.
Wow.
They finally said yes.
You negotiated that, creative thinker.
Yes.
You go, Jason.
Yeah. So then I went and I borrowed a 6-foot table, a black tablecloth, and took my last $400, went down to the wholesale district and purchased what I thought would be things that, the girls on campus would like. It was a great opportunity for me. I had an opportunity to make money. I had an opportunity to be an entrepreneur, and I had an opportunity to meet and talk to lots of women on campus. So that was like, this is a win-win. This is a win-win. This is great for me. So I set it up, and on my first day, I sold $800 worth of product. I gave 20% back to the school. The cost of my products was about $200.
Okay.
So I made like $350 or $300 that day of profit, and I was like, holy shit, like $300 in a day, and I worked like 5 hours.
Yeah.
I was like, and my father was very much against it because he said, you're going to college to have a respectable career. He's like, right now you look like some nomad salesman, and this is embarrassing to the family, and this is a slap in my face. And I was like, Dad, I'm making money. I'm happy. This is what I want to do. Well, long story short, as I got to my senior year, I was still doing it, but instead of having just UCLA, which allowed me to do it because they were making good money from me, is I was doing 6 college campuses at the same time. I would hire students from each college campus to basically sell for me on a commission basis.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was a senior at UCLA. I was studying for my LSATs. And one day I went into the school library and I said, I'm just curious to know if I made it to Harvard, like the best law school, how much am I making as a first-year lawyer coming out of Harvard Law? And I saw the number and I looked at how much I was making and I was like, I'm making more now.
Yeah.
Like I'm making more now and I'm not going to have the debt of law school and I'm not going to have to go through that hell and the studying and all this. And I was like, I'm making more now. So I told my father I'm not going to go to law school. And he was furious, like just beyond pissed. So pissed that he didn't talk to me for 2.5 years.
Oh, wow.
We didn't talk. I would communicate through my mother. He wanted me to be a lawyer.
Do you have other siblings?
I have one younger brother as well.
Okay.
And
is he a lawyer?
He's not a lawyer.
Okay.
He's not a lawyer. He runs the manufacturer for my company now.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So he, he was very, very upset, but I was determined to make this work. And so I was making good money and I knew that I had to, build this business as something different because I knew there was a ceiling to how much I could make doing this. And so I started I would go and get these setups of like hair clips and silver trinkets and stuff like that. And it would be like maybe 30 items in one little acrylic box. And I went to every nail salon, every mom and pop nail salon in all of LA. When I tell you I used to drive down Ventura Boulevard, I used to drive through Hollywood Boulevard.
The grind.
I would literally park, pull up, go into these nail salons, which were usually run by immigrant families, which I understood because I came from an immigrant family. And I would say, listen, I want you to put this display on your countertop. You don't have to pay me any money. And every 2 weeks, I'm going to come back and I'm going to say how much you sold and you're going to pay me for it.
Yeah.
Now, I did this to nail salons from LA all the way down to San Diego.
Wow.
And at that time, I was making really, really good money.
Off the hair clips.
Off the hair clips.
Wow.
But it was a lot of work. Now, mind you, if I made back then $30,000 in a month, I spent $30,000 that month.
Yeah.
Because I'm stupid. I'm young.
You're young.
I love
you
to
have
party.
Money. Yeah.
I wanted to go out. So every single night I was out at the clubs.
What club were you at? Were you at Supper Club? Were you at Greystone?
Supper Club, Greystone.
Yes,
before Greystone.
Bring me back.
I see. I'm older than you. So before Greystone, it was Prey. Before Prey was The Gate.
Oh yeah.
So
I don't know nothing about that.
That's how far back I go. So like I was out every single night.
Yeah.
And what I was doing is I was buying tables, because I said I blew all my money. I was financially irresponsible.
Yeah, you were putting on the light show with the bottles and everything.
I tell you what, that was the best decision I ever made. And my mother to this day says, that was so stupid, you just blew your money. It was the best decision I ever made because I was getting tables, but I was getting tables next to NBA players. I was getting tables next to celebrities. I was getting tables next to other people. And I became friends with those people. And
relationships.
And
the
relationships.
Importance of relationships, especially in any business, like that'll make or break your business.
My entire business was based on relationships and my reputation. Everything. My entire business is based on that. I am not the smartest person in the world, but I'm the hardest worker.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me to a T. Like I built my relationships and I feel like that till this day carries me throughout life. It's the importance of relationships and nurturing those relationships. And like I always say, like somebody else could be a great jeweler, but because they don't have the charismatic personality that you have, or they don't have the relationship with this NBA player that you have, they're going to go to you just off of the relationship that you guys have, whether the other person's a better jeweler than you or not. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I tell my kids all the time right now, I'm like, I care more about your ability to develop and embrace and nurture relationships more important than I care about your grades.
Exactly.
Because I know that skill alone will beat out anyone who's super smart. Like it will beat out that person. The relationships are the single most important thing to building a business.
Exactly.
So from that point on, I was making money, I was blowing money, I was building relationships, and I knew I had to scale my business. I was always a gifted artist. As a child, my mother wanted me to go to art school. I didn't want to because I was like, that guys are going to be looking at me. I was like that guy's guy. I was like, there's no way I'm going to art school. Guys are going to make fun of me. So I never did. But at that moment, I remember seeing all these NBA players wearing these massive chains, but I looked at it as a piece of art. Like they were wearing these chains that had their logos, that had, maybe the state they're from, their initials, their nicknames. And I was like, I can design that. I'm friends with all these guys. So I would go home and I knew that certain nights of the week, certain NBA players would be at the club. I would literally go home and draw designs that for their next piece, not knowing how to make jewelry, not knowing anything about it. And I would just go and I would show guys that. And finally one day, after asking him maybe 5 times and him telling me no, there was an NBA player that said, you know what, you've asked me so many times, you're so persistent. He probably was a little drunk, so he was more likely to let me in. But he said, come to my hotel room tomorrow. We're going to play the Lakers. Before shoot around, come and bring all your jewelry with you. I was like, yeah, no problem. I'm going to bring all my jewelry with me. Mind you, I had nothing. I didn't know anything about the jewelry business.
Yeah.
I didn't have any jewelry, but I wasn't about to let this opportunity pass me by.
Yeah.
So I said, fake it till you make it, and you're going to do whatever it takes. So I showed up at his hotel room. I went home that night when he told me to come see him the next day. I went home that night and I literally made a 3rd grade level lookbook of jewelry by cutting out magazine clippings, downloading whatever I could from the internet. Internet wasn't what it is today. And I made this like cardboard paper lookbook. I mean, a 6th grader could have done a better one.
Board, vision board type of thing.
And I came to his room and he said, show me all your jewelry. I said, I don't do finished jewelry like that. This is all bespoke. Everything is bespoke, but I'll show you pictures of stuff that I've done. I'm just showing pictures of other people's jewelry.
Yeah.
Like that's all.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I want to have a chain made. And I said, no problem. Here's some designs. He said, how much is that design right there? I had no clue. I just threw out a price. I said, $40,000. And he goes, done. I said, okay, I need a $20,000 deposit to get started. He gave me that deposit, and from that moment on, I was in the jewelry business.
Wow.
I had no idea how to do it.
You didn't even have a jewelry piece. That's crazy.
No jewelry piece. So I went downtown to the jewelry district. I knocked on every door. I asked as many questions as I could, and I had somebody make me that same exact chain.
Yeah.
I made like a few $1,000s on a $40,000 sale.
Yeah.
And I delivered it. He loved it. He referred me to other people, and then fast forward, 22, 23 years later, we have multiple retail stores. We do championship rings for all the teams, and I was able to build a business from that.
That is crazy.
Thank you.
I feel like that's kind of like an unseen scene of your life that people don't know, like how your first piece came about.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. I willed it into existence.
Yeah. Wow. I'm like shocked right now. Okay, how much of your success do you credit to your persistence and determination? Because you were pretty determined.
I think all of my success, a huge portion of my success is based on my persistence and my ability to overcome no's and overcome rejection. And in the process, and the second part of the reason to my success are the relationships we talked about, right? It's like I don't burn relationships. I bring in relationships. I allow them to flourish. I nurture these relationships, and I don't let people down. And when I say something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't
your word is everything.
My word is everything to me. And I've sacrificed myself for the sake of relationships. I've sacrificed my own benefit for the sake of a relationship because I know that, your character lives far past anything else.
Oh my God, I always say that. And I feel like, especially for a man, like your word, if you can't stick to your word, it's like you lose all like credibility.
All credibility.
Like, like people look at you like, he doesn't, whatever he says is not true. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I always and then, always keeping an eye out for opportunity. I think that's also been really important for me because I've had to pivot my business so many different times. Like even though I'm in the jewelry business, that jewelry business is encompassed by I do traditional retail stores. I have an appointment only just for celebrities and stuff and things like that. I have a championship ring segment. We're now opening up a trophy segment, hoping to do the Grammys and the Oscars. And
that's amazing.
So I'm always kind of pivoting and always looking for inspiration, always looking to do something different because you never want to be locked into one single thing. I like to diversify my interests.
Well, I think also with success, you've had many successful moments, but to continue the success, you have to be creative. You have to continue to think of ideas and things to keep your business afloat and keep up with everything else. Especially now, you have so many lab grown diamonds or there's a whole different pool now of diamonds that it's everybody's getting these crazy chains for $3,000, $4,000 and
Big
you're
time,
whoa, now how do you feel about that?
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And the lab diamond situation right now is has caused a stir in the jewelry industry, right?
Yeah.
Because they are completely undistinguishable to the naked eye. I cannot tell the difference, but they are way cheaper than diamonds.
Way cheaper.
But like, I tell people, I say, people come to me about lab all the time, and for some jewelers, it's great. They sell it. I have not adopted that at all.
Yeah.
And the reason why is that I don't have confidence in the future of the market. There are a lot of people that cannot tell the difference between a cubic zirconia and a real diamond. It doesn't make a cubic zirconia worth just as much because it looks the same. You can take a Mona Lisa, and I can find someone that can paint the Mona Lisa, so it's completely undistinguishable to the naked eye.
Yeah.
Right? You cannot tell the difference. But are you telling me that the Mona Lisa painted by Mr. X is worth as much as the original Mona Lisa? No, it's not, because there's a reason that Mona Lisa is worth what it is. And with natural diamonds, it takes hundreds and hundreds of years down below the earth for nature to create this. Yeah. Whereas a lab-grown diamond is created in a lab, just like it suggests, the name suggests. And lab-grown diamonds have there's no unified body that controls the market. Diamonds is like De Beers can control the market. They control the supply. Whereas lab-grown diamonds, it's a wild, wild west. Everyone's making them. Everyone's undercutting the price.
It's also like you see somebody, like me and Troy talk about it all the time. Like you'll see somebody with like the same carats as me or something, and that they can't afford that ring, but it's like they're so confident in wearing it. And I'm like for me personally, like, it was like when I couldn't afford the Chanel bags, I never went and bought a fake Chanel bag, because for me, it was a goal that I was like, I'm not meant to own that Chanel bag yet. I can't afford it. I'm not about to spend my $5,000 and be broke and have the Chanel bag. One day I'm going to be able to afford it. When I first started making lashes, doing lashes, my first business, I was making so much money, like cash. I would go weekly to Saks Fifth Avenue, and I was buying the Chanel bags when they were like $5,500.
Oh, you made money now if you still have them.
I was literally cash. I'd go in there cash, and I felt so good because I was like, I'm able to afford now anything I want. But it was the principle for it, like the principle of it for me, that I'm not about to have a fake bag because I can't afford that yet. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think it's the same thing with lab diamonds, where people are like, okay, let me just go get a lab 7-carat ring for $4,000, and then we know you can't afford that, and you're just like, oh yeah, look at my lab. You know what I mean?
And it's funny because if you look at a 7-carat lab and you looked at it 5 years ago, that 7-carat lab would have been $60,000 to $70,000 versus $150,000 to $200,000 if it was natural. Now that same 7-carat lab, because everyone's undercutting each other's prices, it's cheaper to manufacture. There's unlimited supply because all you have to do is make it. That same 7-carat lab now is about $15,000.
I know.
So
that's crazy.
With the way it's going, in my opinion, that 7-carat lab in 5 years from now will be $5,000. So at some point, you're going to get to a point where it is almost like the diamond versus the cubic zirconia, right? There is that much of a difference in price where you as the buyer won't feel that same level of satisfaction making that purchase, similar to that of buying a fake Chanel in Chinatown versus walking into Chanel on Rodeo Drive and buying the real thing. The experience, both the physical and the internal experience will be completely different.
Completely different. And I think it comes down to the person and how you carry your life and how your thoughts and views on things, But
a lot of people argue with me on this. A lot of people don't agree with me.
Well, I agree with you.
Thank
you.
I
love that you're not going towards that trend, and just doing it because you're like, no, I have principles and this is what I stand by, and I'm not making lab, you know. And I will say there's something about your name that's like heavy and like in a good way. Because I remember even when I posted that my engagement ring was from you, it was like Jason. There was like something about like it being from Jason of Beverly Hills that was like, oh, Troy did right. Oh, he went to the right place. Like, oh, I know that ring was expensive. I know it's legit. You know what I mean? So the credibility behind your name, I think you have done an amazing job in building your name and your empire. And there's some weight to your name.
Thank you. That makes me feel good.
Have you ever said no to like a custom piece? You've designed so many pieces.
Yes, I've said no to a custom piece. I had an NBA player once that came to me and he wanted to have a Jesus piece, right? And so it would be a figurine of Jesus' head, which we've done multiple times with the thorns and everything like that. But he's like, but I don't want Jesus' face. I want my face.
Oh.
And I want to be wearing the thorns. And I was just like, oh, it just seems a little sacrilegious.
Yeah.
I didn't feel comfortable doing it. So I said no. He got it made somewhere else. But like, it didn't feel right to me. It just, I was
not
like,
all money is good money.
not all money is good money. It just didn't feel right. So I was just like, no, I can't do that. I've had other times where, a guy will, a client will come in and I happen to be friends with his wife. And we've formed a relationship. I'm friends with the wife, got to know her really well. But he has a girl on the side and wants to buy something for the girl on the side. I rejected that as well because I was like, I don't like knowing that I know her and that I feel comfortable with her. I don't feel right helping you buy something for a girl you have on the side because I feel like I'm backstabbing my friend.
You. Wow.
I'm backstabbing my friend. And he's like, well, I'm your client. I'm like, I get it. But like, as a result of you being my client, I got real cool with your wife.
Yeah.
So like, I don't feel comfortable.
Oh, that's so awkward.
Yeah. I don't feel comfortable now making, pieces for the girl on the side.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel comfortable. So I've said no to that as well.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Wow. I just have more respect for you now. What's one of the most expensive pieces you've ever made?
So we've done, we've done a lot of expensive stuff. I think we did a pair of $2 million shoes that we did for shoes. We took Tom Ford loafers and loaded it up with 380 carats of diamonds.
Wow.
We did that for Nick Cannon when he was on America's Got Talent. I think he was a host on that show. We did that for him. We've done for, Russian dignitaries. We did a pair of earrings that were $10 million, pink diamonds, fancy vivid pinks. We've done things like that.
Is there anybody, you work with so many celebrities, is there anybody that's on your list that you're like, I would love to make a custom piece for them? He's like, no, I've worked with all of them.
No, I'm trying to think who is somebody that I really, as a child, I grew up and the only time I've ever been starstruck even in my business was with Michael Jackson. That was my goal. So I tried everything to make something for him and I did. Now I'm trying to think of who is out there that I really want to make something for. Wait,
what was the piece that you did for Michael Jackson?
I did. So for Michael Jackson, I was able to go visit him in Neverland Ranch. He gave me a personal tour of his entire ranch, which was awesome to be able to do. And he had a family crest that he wanted done in diamonds, and he wanted 10 of them. And so I said, okay, what size do you want? He wanted about rather large, like this big. I was like, I don't see Michael Jackson wearing that. Yeah. But I did it anyways. And I put this ribbon on it, like a cloth ribbon, almost like a gold medal, because I saw him wearing things with that kind of aesthetic. And then I did 10 of them. He ordered 10 of them, and I brought it over to his house, and he said, what are you doing? I'm not going to wear this. I'm like, well, what are you going to do with it? Mind you, this thing is large with gold and diamonds all over it. He's like, oh no, I'm just going to put them on the front door of my bedroom one, front door of my kid's bedroom, front door of my housekeeper's bedroom. I thought it'd be a cool door piece to put on the door. I was like, only Michael Jackson can come up with something like that.
That's iconic.
Like literally no one else would do it, but Michael Jackson could do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's go back to like relationships, because I think we've both built our businesses on that. Do you feel like building businesses off relationship has changed in time?
Absolutely. With the advent of social media, just even texting has changed it, right? And there is one thing that's important to understand is that there is a true skill in building relationships. That's not just something like, oh, I tried to build relationships and I did or I didn't. No, you have to learn how to do it. And I learned through repetition, through practicing. Yeah. Now, when the game changed, when social media came about, the game, even like texting, right? I built most of my early relationships like with physical interaction. Like I meet you, I make eye contact, I give you a firm handshake. Yeah. I try to create a lasting impression of myself so that whether it's make you laugh or say a funny story or something like that, to kind of build that relationship with someone, so it's just not a regular run-of-the-mill interaction. Right. So when social media came about, it created a way for people to interact with each other without actually seeing each other face to face. I tell even all my salespeople, I said, number one, try to sell face-to-face because you build a different kind of relationship when you're with somebody face-to-face.
It's more warm.
It's more warm.
It's like dating on social media. I thankfully never dated people through like a DM or like, because I always was like, that's so weird. I feel like it's like they're looking through your page and it seems very transactional. They're looking, and obviously on social media, we're all putting out our best picture.
Best version of ourselves.
Exactly. So I feel like you don't really know me, as opposed to meeting me in person, vibing with me being like, okay, I like his tone. I like his, you know what I mean? It's so different than like online and just like, I feel like if you just like me from my social media, like you don't know me. Like that seems so fake to me that I don't like it. I don't engage in it. Well,
and it's weird because right now it's like people, especially the younger generation, they don't want to meet you face to face. They literally do not want to meet you face to face.
They want easy, fast, accessible, everything that I hate.
And so I've had to like pivot how I build relationships too, because the younger generation, they are like, just snap me, just DM me, like, what are you talking about? Like, can I just come meet you?
Yeah.
They don't want to, because, and that is why the newer generation, they're not as, and you'll see it when you go to nightclubs, right? I still go to nightclubs. I go out with my clients and you'll see everyone's on their phones. No one's interacting with each other. Long gone is the day where you walk up to a girl and you try to spit game to the girl. You try to talk to
they'll be at the club and they'll be looking at her social media, DMing her.
Yes.
They're right there.
You're right there.
Hello, walk up to her.
The ability to physically interact with people is long gone.
Yeah.
So that skill is done. So what I've had to do is obviously pivot, because some people just genuinely do not want to meet with you in person. They want to do it via text or via DM or.
Yeah.
I've had to make those interactions more memorable. I employed the same strategy I did when I'm meeting a person face to face. I've had to say, I got to make sure that every DM I send or every response I send is a memorable response, whether it be a funny joke, something that begs them, that encourages them to interact, not asking a question with everything.
Yeah.
It's like, in order to like keep that interaction going, like, I've gotten clients off just DMs just going back and forth, but they can't be purely transactional. You still need to sell yourself, because before I sell any piece of jewelry, I need to sell myself. Like, are you going to buy from me because you feel comfortable with me?
Right.
But the customer service, the product, that's what keeps them coming back. But initially with any business, you need to sell yourself first, whether it be in person or via text or via DM or a snap or whatever it is.
Yeah. You have kids, right?
I have 2 kids.
Are you teaching them already about how old are they?
15 and 19.
Oh, 15 and 19. Oh, you have high school kids.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. My oldest one she's turning 9 in 2 days. But it's like little things, how we were talking about that. I make it a point when she walks in a room, I'm like, you greet everybody, you look them in the eye, you introduce yourself. I especially worry about her demo and the Gen Alpha. I feel like they are going to have no social interactions and social skills because they're glued to their phone.
Seriously.
So are you like, do you encourage that with your kids too?
I do, but it doesn't work all the time. I mean, these kids are stubborn, right? They don't.
Yeah,
they want to do it.
Phone.
They're glued to their phone, and that's how they interact with people. That's how they get their information. They are completely glued to the phone and have no attention span, right? Like, they can't even sit and watch a movie unless they're also scrolling TikTok at the same time, because they're like, there's not enough stimulation. Yeah, I'm not getting. They're not getting enough stimulation, and they lose attention watching a movie by itself. Like, I'm like, that's crazy.
Or like, I'm bored. I'm like, it's okay for you to be bored.
Yeah.
It's okay. So what I do now when she's like, I'm bored, or what are we doing? I'm like, you're going to open your journal and think of creative things and write it down in your journal, because I'm just trying to like, I feel like we're doomed if we like try to bring them back old school, because we can't. Like, you gotta keep up with the trends and what's happening. And I feel like we're in a generation where like it is all about social media and phones and TikTok and Snap, and like it's just so much coming out. And I feel like as we're going into we're gonna have robots cleaning our houses, and we're gonna have the technology is taking over.
Yeah, there's gonna be robot wives, robot husbands. You literally are not gonna have to interact with.
And that's so scary. Human. But also for businesses, I feel like a lot of people are gonna be put out of business because AI is just taking over completely.
For sure.
What do you foresee your business? Like, where do you foresee it going in the next 20 years.
Well, I think with the advent of AI, it's changed dramatically, particularly in the last 6 to 8 months, right? Everything's changed completely. But I think that a lot of people mistaken are a lot of even my own employees, right? You could feel this little bit of trepidation, a little bit of anxiety because they're like, is AI going to take my position? AI will replace a lot of positions, but the people should not be looking at it as AI replacing your position, but instead, your position will be replaced by people who understand how to use AI. And I think that for me, that's what I tell even our designers, right? We used to sit down and hand draw a design and take that design and put it into a CAD design. Now you can go on ChatGPT and say, here, I want to see my initials and diamonds in white gold with rubies and diamonds, and it'll pop up just like that.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to pivot. You need to be able to adapt. Mm-hmm. And in my business, it's definitely changing, but I think it's making us more efficient. Mm-hmm. But those employees that do not want to adapt, that are being rigid, that don't want to learn AI, they're going to be left behind.
Yeah, they are.
It's simple as that.
You got to learn to adapt. That's like part of business.
You've got to learn to adapt.
Yeah.
And I think what it's going to do is going to make more businesses more efficient, be able to scale at a quicker pace, and most importantly, it's going to allow the small people that are starting people that are starting small businesses. That's what I meant to say. People that are starting small businesses that don't have the infrastructure and don't have the money behind them, but can use the power of AI in order to scale their business at a quicker rate.
We're starting a new business right now for like kids, like a kids wellness, and we're getting ready to launch next month. But there is a full AI marketing companies, fully AI, that will do everything for you. As before, we would hire a social media person.
Yeah.
They are a all-in-one package deal. It's like pretty crazy.
Yeah, I just set up my AI assistant and my AI receptionist at my office.
Yeah.
Like it's nuts.
Yeah. Okay, well, we like to end the show with dropping a gem.
Okay.
So anything you want to just drop on like business or life or anything that you feel like will resonate with anybody hearing your story?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I'm going to take an experience from my own son, right? My son came to me, he said, Dad, I don't know what I want to do yet. Like, just, tell me what you think is good. Or like, he's not, I think that a lot of people get discouraged because they either don't believe in themselves or don't see an opportunity they can chase, or they're waiting for someone to tell them this is what you should do and this is the path you should go on. But everyone's life is different. Every scenario is different. And I always tell people, you need to keep your mind open for opportunity. And there's a saying. It's called someone told me this. It's called the red car theory, and it's like, if I told you, if we were in a car together for 30 minutes and I asked you after the car ride, how many red cars did you see? You would not be able to tell me the answer, would you? Mm-mm. But before our car ride, I told you, I'm going to give you $20 for every red car that you can point out during our 30-minute ride. Mm-hmm. Would you be able to tell me exactly how many red cars?
100%.
And that's how life is, and that's how business is that because you kept your eyes and ears open for a red car, you're able to capitalize on it because you knew that there was an opportunity to make that $20 per car. But you have to go through life like that too. Like, whether you eat at a restaurant, you're calculating how they're making money and this might be an opportunity. Or I started a jet car business. I went to Turks and Caicos, wanted to get a jet car for my kids. They said it's a 2-week wait. I was like, instead of saying, kids, sorry, you can't get it, I said, kids, you can't get it, but I'm starting my own jet car business because there's an opportunity here.
Wait, do you have that? I go to Turks and Caicos every year.
I know that. Troy was telling me. Yes.
That's our favorite vacation spot.
I have a jet car. I have a jet ski and a jet car business there because I saw that there was a need for it because I couldn't get one when I went with my own family. Mm-hmm. But it's because my mind is always open to opportunity, so I'm always looking for that red car.
Mm-hmm. That's me, and it's something about like a hustler and an entrepreneur that you're always trying to see like, where else can I make a business? Like my mind is always, it'll be like random, like 2 a.m. I'm like, oh my God, this would be a great business. And I'm like, I
always get those. I wake up in the middle of the night and I go straight to my phone and my wife is like, who are you texting right now? I'm like, I'm texting myself. I'm like literally writing down like, this is an idea I can do.
No, that's right. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm thinking about a million things right now. Like, it's like our minds never turn off because we know also when you've had one successful business, you're like, I could do this, I could do that. Like, it's like endless possibilities.
Absolutely.
I didn't touch on, your other businesses, but you clearly have diversified your portfolio. What is there any other business?
I do a lot of real estate.
Okay.
So like I grew up, as I've built my business and as I've been able to be fortunate enough to be around a lot of successful entrepreneurs, I noticed that the ones that are making real generational wealth did so in real estate.
Real estate,
right? If you're not going to develop an app or invent the next Uber, I think that the other way that I've noticed people have built wealth is through real estate. So I really have dove in that, and just like a lot of professional athletes use basketball or football as a stepping stone to get into other things that opens doors for them, I've used the jewelry business as an opportunity to build relationships. Always goes back to relationships. Build relationships that allow me to get into other opportunities and build businesses. And real estate for me has been something that's been really gratifying, and I enjoy getting into it, and I enjoy crunching the numbers. I enjoy looking for opportunity, and it's one of those things, right? Like what we talked about, the red car. I drive down the block. I'm on my way here. I'm literally looking at the for sale signs. I'm looking at what's the new infrastructure, what's the new retail being built around here. How's the community? Maybe is this something I can invest in?
Yeah.
And that was just on my drive here.
Yeah.
But like my mind is always working, and I think that is what's important, is not to turn off your mind ever.
Do you have any real estate like outside of California?
No, most of my real estate is all here. I do have some stuff in Texas and some stuff in Las Vegas. The majority of it is, multifamily and commercial property here in Los Angeles, because it's, what I know. It's the area I know. Like when someone calls me up and says I got an opportunity in Atlanta, I'm like, I don't really understand Atlanta.
That market,
I don't know that market.
That's another thing. It's also like understanding the business that you're getting into is so important. Not just like throwing yourself. If I don't understand it, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, and I think Warren Buffett said that. He says only invest in what you understand.
Exactly, 100%. Well, I think this is it. Thank you so much for being. It was so nice to share your story, and also like for me to get to know you a little bit more. I love my ring. Thank you so much.
Good. I'm glad.
For helping my man design it.
Of course.
He just cleaned it this week too, by the way.
Yeah, it looks good.
And that was it on this episode of Against All Odds. We will see you next time. Against All Odds is a Hyphenate Media Group production in partnership with iHeart's My Cultura Podcast Network. For more of your favorite shows, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.